Grime Time.
In the company of Britain's most compelling commentator, the director at Reasoned UK, a popular Conservative channel, it's Darren Grimes. Hi, Darren.
Hi, Mark. Do you know what? I'll never, ever get tired of you saying that. I might actually record it and just play it back on a morning just to wake myself up.
Every word is gospel. Let's talk about the BBC. How compelling is the case for the BBC's licence fee? Because their new boss, Tim Davie, is pressing ministers for a £150 million borrowing boost to help it compete with the likes of Netflix. The broadcaster wants the debt limit enforced on its commercial arm, BBC Studios, to be lifted from £350 million to £500 million. What do you think about this?
Well, I mean, the BBC's Director General, Tim Davie, actually also said that the BBC isn't here to beat Netflix and isn't trying to make a paid subscription business work. So it strikes me, Mark, that, wanting to increase the amount of money it can actually borrow, it's trying to have its cake and eat it, because I think people fundamentally are consuming media in different ways today. Netflix, Disney, Amazon, they've all completely overtaken the BBC, and the corporation's antiquated, let's be honest, and regressive funding model means that it can't hope in a million years to compete with those giants. So it's just as well Tim Davie reckons they've got no ambition to do so. And you know what the beautiful thing about each of them is, Mark? I am free to cancel my subscription with them whenever I want. And guess what? Guess what happens to me if I do so? Absolutely naff all. So there's no big burly man with a clipboard and a pen knocking at the door and saying, why haven't you got a telly license? There are no single mothers and students dragged through court for cancelling their direct debits and refusing to fund the enormous salaries, let's be honest, of those who sneer at them without for daring actually to have a fondness of their nation's flag or of the Queen. And I reckon actually the public agree with me on this, Mark. Defund the BBC found that 60% of people who don't believe that the licence fee can continue in its current form. And I think there's simply no need for the BBC to be funded by those watching live telly elsewhere with, of course, let's not forget, that threat of prison for supposedly informative and unifying content. Because I tell you what, Mark, the only thing that the BBC has informed me of over the past few years is just how out of touch with the rest of the country their Guardian reading and London dwelling staff are. It's informed me that they've no clue what the B in their name stands for anymore, because it's certainly not Bolshevik and it's certainly not Brussels. It's supposedly British, but there we are.
Well, indeed so. And we've seen it again today in the government press conference, with a year in which we should be intelligently reflecting on whether lockdown was the right way to go or not. And instead, you've just got Laura Kunzberg, who, by the way, is a very talented journalist, trotting out the BBC line that we should have locked down earlier and harder and stronger and faster.
It's so true. It's so true. I say thank God we've got talk radio taking part in these things, because, talk radio will actually ask a question of, well, is there anything else we could have done? Are there any alternatives? Alternatives to the fact that women's domestic violence charities have seen massive spikes over the past 12 months in calls to their services. Is there anything we could have done that would protect people who didn't have pre-existing mental health conditions, who now find they do have mental health conditions? Is there anything we could have done different for those people? Like not put everyone under de facto house arrest for almost a year. And all of these things where you think the national broadcaster, our BBC, might actually ask some probing questions. But you're absolutely right. It comes, the question, no matter who it's from, whether or not it's Laura, who, as you say, I agree with you, she is fantastic. I think she's a brilliant journalist. But the question that comes is always, we should have locked down sooner and harder. Don't you regret that, Prime Minister? I mean, what do these people actually want us to be like? We can't leave our homes. If I go and walk across the street and knock on the house opposite here in County Durham, I'd be breaking the law and doing so for popping in for a cup of tea. What do they want us to be like? North Korea in sort of combating this virus? I think it's bizarre. It's
well, indeed. I don't know if you caught that really creepy piece of North Korean style propaganda from EastEnders this week. And it was just an excerpt in a scene in which one character is castigated for not wanting the virus. Now, forgive me, everyone's made that mistake, for not wanting the vaccine. Now, I'm really pro-vaccine because I hate lockdown. lockdown, to me, I'm pro-vaccine because it ends lockdown, hopefully gets us out of this. But again, I don't know if it's the BBC's job, especially an entertainment programme like EastEnders, to be there flogging the government line.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely, because ultimately, right, I think this is why a lot of people have fallen out of love with the BBC. And it's because instead of giving us content that we want to watch, they seem to think that it's their duty to educate us. We are thick, uneducated oiks who need to be told by our betters, primarily in London, how to think and how to act. And actually, we don't need that. We're sentient, capable, and we have our own agency. We can make our minds up ourselves. And I think that's why people are turning off from the BBC, and you're seeing more and more people saying, I'm cancelling my direct debit. So yeah, I mean, less lecturing from these people and a little bit more, I think, of the entertainment that they perhaps once used to be famed for.
Absolutely right. Brilliant stuff as always, Darren. Darren Grimes is the director at Reasoned UK, a popular conservative channel.